Hello beautiful people, and welcome to day one of our Yoga for Beginners journey. Today we're going to be looking at a sequence including standing poses to help us feel strong and grounded and steady as we begin our practice together. Get into something comfy and I will see you on the mat. Namaste. So before we begin, I'd like to invite you to just find a comfortable seated position. Take a moment, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Something that we'll be coming back to time and time again on this course is this practice of breathing using the full capacity of your lungs. So see if as you inhale you can fill up from the very base of your lungs. And as you exhale, allowing the air to release from the very top of your lungs. This is our greatest ally in our yoga practice for helping us to relax and for helping us to access many of the deeper levels of the practice. Opening your eyes, let's make our way over into all fours. So what we're going to look for here is to place our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. So you can kind of shuffle forwards and backwards until you feel like you're in a good stance. We can call this tabletop pose. If you're doing it right, you should look like a human version of a coffee table. Very glamorous image for you all to get us started. So we're going to come through a very, very common warm-up sequence called cat and cow pose. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to get your inner elbow creases to face towards each other. Spreading your fingers super wide, pressing down through the knuckles of your fingers, having one final shuffle in your stance, and then when you're ready, ducking your head through your arms, drawing your shoulder blades towards each other, and lifting your heart so that your back comes into a little arch. As you breathe out, curve everything over, bringing your nose towards your belly button, your chin to your chest, arching the center of your spine up towards the sky, emptying your lungs completely, and then again inhaling, ducking through, curving up to our cow pose, folding over as we exhale, coming into our cat pose. So you don't have to go the same speed as me. You can move faster, you can move slower. Time it in with your breath. Do things in a way that feel good to you. Taking one more exhalation. And then making our way back to that nice neutral tabletop pose that we started with. I'm going to introduce right off the bat one of the most common poses that we do in yoga and an amazing rest pose that I really invite you to come to whenever you like during this course. So with this you can bring your toes together, your knees wide, and pressing back your back of your hips towards your heels, we come to child's pose. Your arms can come down by the sides of your legs and your forehead wants to rest lightly upon the floor here. So this is Balasana, child's pose. It's an amazing restorative position. So you can really come here whenever you need to, if anything feels too much or too fast. As a side note, if you're finding this pose difficult, you can place a rolled up towel or cushion underneath your legs, on top of your calves or under your hips, and really fill the gap so that your hips have something to sit down on. And for most body types, that works beautifully as an adjustment. If that doesn't feel so good, then find another pose, any other pose that works for you. With your next inhalation, walking your arms forwards, coming back up onto your knees, walking your knees back under your hips towards the center of your mat, walking your hands forwards a little bit further than your shoulders, tucking your toes under, and then pressing through the full palms of your hands to come up and back into this pose, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this is another incredibly common yoga pose. It's immensely beneficial in tons of ways. It helps us to relax, it builds arm strength, it lengthens the spine, it stretches the hamstrings. If this is too much for you, come down onto your knees. If this feels okay, then stay with it. You can actually pedal your feet from side to side, from left to right, to really get the most of the hamstring stretch in this beautiful pose. And then exhaling, we're going to come all the way back down to our knees, bringing our hips back towards our heels. We'll keep our arms forwards in an active jad pose. Allowing your full body to relax, to melt down towards the mat with every exhalation. So your exhalations are a moment to release, to let go of any tension in your muscles, to let go of any thoughts in your mind. And the inhalation is that moment to receive, to feel fully present, fully alive and awake. Inhaling, we make our way back up to downward facing dog, so knees come to the center, toes tuck under, hands press back. We can pedal. So we can bend the knees here to find as much length as we can through the spine. And by this I mean you're literally stretching out your back, trying to make it so that the crown of your head is as far away as possible from the base of your spine. Then with that length, then press back the heels down towards the ground. The heels are the less important part. What's going on with your back is what's going to really make a huge difference in time. Taking in a deep breath, you can slowly walk your feet up towards the front of the mat. So coming up to standing, making your way to standing. I'm going to invite you here to do something that's going to look a bit goofy, but just go with it if you can. We're going to just take a shake. We can twist a little bit from side to side, bouncing through our legs, patting the sides of your body as you gently twist and wake up, and then having a little bit of a shake or a little bit of a stretch in any way that feels good to you. It's a really amazing thing to do, especially in the mornings, to get your body feeling awake and alive. And I also love to do it to remind myself to really not take myself too seriously. Who do we think we are? Why do we need to take everything so seriously? So letting that go, we can come to bring our feet together on the mat. If you've got any lower back issues, you might feel more comfortable keeping your feet hip distance apart. So the choice is yours. Go with whichever one feels better for you. I'm going to bring my feet together, and then I'm going to invite you to press your big toes down into the mat and lift up all your other toes. Spread them out as much as possible. If you're not used to doing this, this might be really tricky, but I promise in time it gets easier. And then press your other toes down. So what we're looking for in the long run is that there are actually gaps between your toes. This increases the surface area of your foot and makes it easier for you to balance. It's also a more healthy stance for your foot, which then means that the knees are in a better position, which then means that the hips are in a better position, that the spine is in a better position. So what happens with our feet has a ricochet effect across our whole body. Our feet are our foundation, our grounding point in yoga, most of the time at least. So take a moment to really appreciate your feet and have a great wide stance. I'm going to invite you to lift up your kneecaps slightly. You won't be able to see under my leggings, but there's a little muscle right here above your knees. And many of us are able to consciously activate this muscle, and when we do, the kneecaps actually physically lift a little bit. This helps us protect our knee joint and can be especially important in some poses where the knee takes more strain. I'm going to invite you to tuck your pelvis under here, literally tucking your tailbone down. Your belly button might lift slightly as you do this. And then finally, as you inhale, bringing your shoulders all the way up towards your ears. And as you exhale, allowing your shoulders to melt down your spine. Let your arms hang by your sides. You can tuck your chin in ever so slightly to lengthen the back of your neck. And you can close your eyes. Again, bringing your awareness back to your breath. So what we did then was a little bit pedantic, but what I'm hoping to impart to you is that these are really the points that we can look at to check ourselves in any yoga position. We can notice what our feet are doing, what the weight-bearing part of our body is doing, how is our knee joint, what's happening at our knee joints, what's happening at our hips, is our spine upright and long, is our chin jutting forwards or is it able to come back, and are our shoulders getting tense? And if we can find alignment through all of these points in our own way, then we're really on track. So this first pose, this is just simple standing, has a name, mountain pose. We can also call it Tadasana. We can bring our hands to our heart center, pressing the thumbs into the center of your chest. If you had an intention at the start of the session, then bring it to your mind again now. And if not, then just enjoy taking one breath. One simple breath. As you breathe out, allowing your hands to come back down by your sides. Again, relaxing your whole body, relaxing your beautiful upright posture to whatever feels comfortable for you. So we can walk the feet out a little bit wider here, maybe hip distance apart, and then I'd like you to lean into your right foot. We're going to come towards tree pose, Vritsasana, and there's a few ways, a few variations that we can do this. So Vritsasana is a balancing pose. In the final version, you'll be standing on one leg. For many people, this is way too much for their balance right off the bat. So we can start off gently by just bringing the right toes to the outside, the left toes, to the outside of the right foot. You can turn your knee out to the side, so you're getting a little bit of a turning out at the hips, placing your hands on your hips, or bringing your hands to your heart center, or bringing your arms up to the sky. So you can stay here. This is a beautiful variation to stay in. Or if you feel like challenging your balance a little bit more, you can try bringing your foot up towards the middle of your calf. Again, turning your left knee out towards the side of the room. If this is challenging your balance too much, you can also press your fingertips against a wall to help yourself stay nice and steady, and either just bring one hand to your heart or one hand in the air. If you want to take this even further, you can bring your left foot right up to the top of your right leg. Again, turning the left knee out towards the side wall, holding onto the wall if you need to, or bringing your hands to your heart, or bringing your hands to the sky. So if you're wobbling around like a tree in a hurricane, then pick one of the simpler variations. Whichever variation you're on, find a focus point for your gaze, something fixed to keep your eyes upon, to help you stay steady and centered, reaching through your arms, rooting down through your standing leg, and as you exhale, bringing your hands down to your heart, helping the leg come back down to the ground, and coming back to our super cool looking bouncing, shaking, slightly twisting motion that we started with not too long ago. Perfect. So now you've got an idea of what Vritsasana is doing We can bring our feet back towards the centre and do the same on the other side. So spreading all your toes out, and this time bringing your weight towards the left foot. Bringing the right toes to the outside of the left foot. Right knee goes towards the right side of the room. You can stay here, or here, or here. Or of course you can bring your foot to your calf, or bring your foot right up to the top of your left leg. Finding that drishti, that focus point for your gaze. Notice what your breath is doing. Our breath is a real clue into what our mind is doing. So if you're finding it difficult to balance, find that gaze, hold onto a wall, and breathe. Try to breathe in a way that's deep and slow. Exhaling, bringing your hands back down to your heart center. You can help your right leg as it comes back down to the ground. We're going to come back to our little bouncing, twisting motion. Perfect. So you can step or jump your feet back together and then walk back up to the front of your mat. What we're going to do here is inhale, reaching our arms up to the sky, and exhale, hinging at our hips, folding over into a forward bend, Uttanasana. So what I'm going to invite you to do here is to aim to keep your spine long. I speak a lot about mobile phone asana. This is the fact that many of us are on our phones in this kind of position for a huge portion of the day, or at computers like this. We've never spent so much time in history with this kind of posture before, and it can have really disastrous effects on our digestive system, on our spinal health, on our muscular conditioning for our whole body actually. So we can reverse this by taking the time to really lengthen out, and instead of aiming to come as far down as we possibly can, instead to become as long as we can. Taking in a deep breath here, and then as you exhale, keeping this length, maybe you're able to hinge from the hips, coming down a little bit lower. Keeping your heart open, keeping your heart lifted. So instead of curling it all in, closing off the heart by bringing the neck down, the chin down, keep this area open and long, even as you fold forward. Bending your knees, reaching through your arms, looking up to the sky, exhaling, bringing your hands together back down to the center of your chest. And we're going to repeat that again, inhaling. Arms come up, looking up to sky, diving forwards, keeping a long, long spine. Staying here for a couple of breaths. Letting time show you where you want this position to be today. Inhaling, bending your knees, reaching your arms, coming all the way back up to the sky. Exhaling, hands come down to heart center. One more time, inhaling, looking up, reaching up. Exhaling, diving forwards, long spine. Inhaling, this time we're going to come up halfway with a flat back. Exhaling, dropping down all the way. Forward fold. Long spine, forward fold. So we can tend to get really competitive with ourselves in forward bends. This is something I've observed in myself in the past, and certainly in yoga classes I've been teaching. So there is no destination. There's no prize for getting your fingers down to the floor or lower down on your legs. It doesn't matter if you don't feel very flexible now. Just take your body for what it is in this moment. Things can always change. Muscles can always learn to stretch. We can always go deeper. The journey never stops. But let's aim to cultivate a little bit of self-love as we go along in this practice. A really tricky topic, but if we don't give ourselves permission to love ourselves as we are right now, we never will. It's a habit. It's a habit we can cultivate for right now. So bending your knees, inhaling up all the way to the sky. Exhaling, hands come to heart center. And we're going to take a moment to just rest in this mountain pose for a moment. With our hands in Namaste. Again, breathing deep. Noticing what your breath is doing. And inviting it to slow. Opening your eyes. Placing your hands on your hips. This time I invite you to walk up and back with your right leg. We're going to come to high lunge. So this can be another balancing pose. Again, stay near a wall and place your fingertips upon it if you need the support. Otherwise, we're aiming to have our front knee on top of our ankle. This is a super important alignment that we'll find over and over again in bent knee poses. It helps to protect the knee joint. You can also engage that little muscle above your knee if you can find it. Your back knee can also be bent. If you're struggling to balance here, you can bring your back foot in as much as you like. The closer it is to your front foot, the easier it's going to be to balance. Or if it feels super easy, then walk it right back. Give yourself a challenge. Remembering that alignment of your front knee and having the hips facing forward. So this means instead of letting the right hip roll towards the back of your room, keeping your right hip and left hip facing right ahead of you. If this is feeling stable and strong, you can lift both arms up into the air, trying to keep your arms in line with your ears here. Breathing right down to the base of your spine, inhaling all the way up and coming over to the side, so pivoting round on your left foot and right foot to face the side of the room. And then exhaling, coming down to a wide-legged forward fold. It's going to feel different in this position. You can still aim to keep your heart open. Still aim to keep your spine long. And still remember that it really isn't important how low down you come. If you're not able to get your hands to the floor, then either bend your knees until you can, or place a block or a stack of books so that you're able to get your hands down to the ground. Once we've done this, I invite you to bring your right hand to the center of your mat and then your left hand to reach up towards the sky. So we're coming into a slight twist here. You can either look down towards your right hand, over towards the left wall, or up towards the sky if your neck feels comfortable with that. Don't forget to breathe deep. Exhaling, the left hand comes down to the middle and the right hand comes up to the sky. Exhaling, your right hand comes down, bending your knees. You can heel toe your feet back towards the center. Bending your knees generously, coming up to stand, reaching through your arms. Exhaling, hands come down to heart center. And again, we can take a moment here to just reflect. To go within. To become fully aware of our breath. Exhaling and allowing your arms to relax down by your sides. And this time we're going to melt all the way down to the ground. From here, getting nice and comfy, we can come to lie down. We can lift up our head slightly so that the back of our head is upon the mat. We can have our feet wide, drop our knees together for a moment, and notice how when we do this, our lower back will feel supported by the floor, by the mat. Here we can gradually bring our feet towards our sit bones and hug our knees around in circles, bringing it all around and around. If you feel any stiff patches, then just giving yourself an extra moment, going tenderly over those places. Taking it round in the other direction when you're ready. Observing how it feels to give yourself this little massage. Allowing your knees to come towards your chest. And this time we're going to kick the soles of our feet up towards the sky. We can hold on to our calves, our shins, or if it's possible, hold on to the outside edges of our feet here, drawing our knees towards our armpits in happy baby pose. Ananda Malasana. This is another pose that's really great for not taking yourself too seriously. So just enjoy it as you rock and roll a little bit from side to side if you like, or keep it still if that feels better for you. Finally, bringing your feet back down to the mat. And this time you can bring your arms away from your body at chest height, palms facing up. As you exhale, lifting your hips up off the mat, bringing them an inch or two to the right, and then dropping your knees to the left. From here, your head can either stay in the center, or if it's possible for you, allowing your head to look past your right hand, aiming to keep both shoulder blades upon the ground to really stabilize the pose. So this is a beautiful reclined twist. Breathe deep to enhance the effects of this pose. With your next exhalation, let go of any muscles that are holding on. Allow your body to melt into the ground underneath you. It's this learning how to consciously relax, to consciously, physically relax at will, and to practice this over and over is another amazing gift that yoga practice can give us, that actually we can use at any point throughout our day. Bringing your palms to face down, Bringing your head slowly, slowly back to centre, and then gradually, gradually lifting your knees back to centre. Bringing your hips back to centre. Bring your feet wide, knees together, just resting in this neutral pose for a breath or two. Then walking feet together, lifting the hips up and slightly to the left side as we drop our knees to the right. Keeping our left and right shoulder blades upon the ground. We can bring our palms to face up and look over our left hand. Don't forget to relax, to physically let go of any holding, releasing everything with every out-breath as much as you can. Slowly, slowly bringing your head back to centre, and then pressing through the backs of your hands to gradually lift your knees, bringing your hips back to centre, walking your feet wide and dropping your knees together, and allowing your arms to come down by your hips, keeping them around 6 to 8 inches away from your body, palms still facing up. So here you can close your eyes and either stay in this position or lie the legs down. This is our rest pose, corpse pose or shavasana. I'm going to come up to sitting, you stay where you are. So shavasana is our opportunity to really integrate all of the benefits, all of the energy that we've just generated in that practice. So allow your breath to become extra deep as you stay here. Become aware of the feeling of your inhalation. Follow the air as it begins outside of your body and then travels through your nose, down the back of your throat, all the way down into your lungs. And then follow this same breath as this air from your lungs comes from the base of your lungs to the middle of your lungs to the top of your lungs, through the back of your throat and back out through your nose. Notice how the air is cool as it enters your body and warm as it leaves your body. That with every breath, this alchemy is taking place. This oxygen and other amazing components in the fresh, clean air that we breathe is starting outside of your body and coming into your body and helping to give you the air, the energy that you live with. In yoga, we call this energy prana. And actually there are many sources of prana, not just the air. But it's one of the ones that we take most for granted and one of the ones that has the most profound effect on our health. So this can be challenging if you're not used to lying still and staying focused upon something like we are right now. But I invite you to just go for it. If your mind wanders, bring it back to the practice of staying with your breath. If we don't learn the ability to focus our thoughts, then we're really at the mercy of the world around us. We're really at the mercy of the good and the bad thoughts that we think every day. But if we can bring in the awareness to consciously choose our focus, even some of the time, then this is amazing. So I invite you to take a few more breaths. With every exhalation, allowing yourself to relax a little bit deeper. Taking one more deep breath in and out. And allowing this to conclude your practice. Keeping your eyes closed, we can begin to come out of this by just wiggling our fingers, wiggling our toes, ever so slightly, bringing some awareness back into our extremities. Bringing some awareness back into our full body, to the space that we're in. We can allow these movements to become a little bit bigger, a little bit more exaggerated, maybe rotating the ankles and the wrists, gradually building things up until you stretch in any way that feels good to you. Maybe take a little yawn, take a little sigh. Allowing any final tension from your mind or body to be completely and utterly released. With this deep relaxation, starting to come into more energy, you can gently roll over onto one side, maybe your right side, keeping your eyes closed another moment if you can. I invite you to just bring to your mind 3 things that you're grateful for. They can be big or small. Just think of 3 things that you can say thank you for in your life. With this gratitude in your heart, gently make your way up to sitting. If you're ready, you can open your eyes ever so slowly, bringing your hands to your heart center. You can sit here in the silence, or if you like, you can chant Om, the syllable that signifies the creation, the maintenance, and the end of everything. How we all have this constant cycle going on around us, our whole lives, and how special it makes each and every life that we constantly are undergoing this change, one thing ending and a new thing beginning. So with your new day ahead of you, I hope you have the best day ever. I thank you so much for joining me on this day 1 of our practice for the beginnings, yoga for beginners. Thank you so much. Namaste.